Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as always, happy Wednesday. Welcome to another edition of the Taking the Points NFL Betting Show, powered by the one and only BetJack Ohio Sportsbook. As you can see, everybody's repping BetJack today. Coach Jay, you're the winner of last week's picks, 17-15. Happy Wednesday to you, winner.
Dang, I thought I did better than that. Must have lost a couple squeakers at the end. But happy Wednesday to you guys. Another victory. JJ, where's this comeback? When's it going to happen?
I don't know if it's going to happen anymore after going 10-22 or whatever it was. I think I just dug myself a hole.
They were going through the picks and they were like, lost. There's two. It's all right, JJ. 10-22.
I just need to go 28-4 this week. I'll be okay.
I'm still in last. Let's go ahead and show those overall records up to date. Here they are. Coach Jay, 244, 209, and 10, man. That's impressive for a year's long work.
I think Grant's going to catch JJ. You be careful, JJ.
I could. 2 weeks left. Plus, if we get into the playoffs here, would be fun. I'm close, JJ. I'm on your tail. So I'm on your tail.
That won't be good.
That silver medal, JJ, because you're not getting the gold. Gold is gone.
I'm trying to get rid of bronze. Without further ado, week 17, we've got some fantastic matchups. If you guys have comments, let us know. Feel free to drop them. We'll get to them. We miss you in DC, Jay. They miss you, Jay. We'll get into the Commanders here soon. It seems like it's a mess. But let's start with my Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football. You called an audible, Coach Jay, so talk to me about it. Earlier this morning when you sent your picks in, you had the Jets, but then you switched to the Cleveland Browns. Everyone's also on the under. But talk to me. Are you riding the Joe Flacco train Monday night? If the Browns win, they clinch in Cleveland. Talk to you about the Joe Flacco train, Jay.
Well, this is a big game for Cleveland. It's going to be rocking. If they win, they're automatically, and they're pretty much clinched into the 5 seed, but they do need to win. And Joe Flacco's playing good. Their defense is playing good. I'm really more off of the Jet train than I am on the Cleveland train, so I'm betting on Cleveland to just dismantle the Jets. Trevor Siemian's going to struggle. Breece Hall will not get going because the defense for the Browns is too good, and I think Flacco will do enough to get it done. He's playing extremely well. You got to credit Joe Flacco. Give him tons of credit, what he's done coming off the sideline in short amount of time and taking this team to the playoffs.
Do you think the Browns, they're talking about it, do you think they should sign him to a contract next year too to keep him in Cleveland next year?
I think that based on what I've seen in the last 4 games or whatever it is with Flacco, I've seen better outcomes than with Deshaun Watson. I'm not too sure he's not better than Deshaun right now at this stage of his career. He's a veteran guy. The way they play at Cleveland is they play good defense. They're going to have a strong running game. They got a big-time weapon in Amari Cooper and David Njoku, and they utilize those guys perfectly. You don't need a guy that can run around and use his legs all the time. They need the play-action pass, get the ball out fast, and hand the ball off to Ford or Nick Chubb when he comes back. And I think they can play great defense with Flacco. I'd look at signing them again just for an insurance blanket.
100%. Yeah, it seems like Kevin Stefanski is just happy with that drop back, big, tall quarterback now. And it's working out really well. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. He does have 7 picks through 4 games, which is a lot. But a couple of them last week, one of them was just a throw. They had to throw it up at halftime because they didn't have a kicker. So he's playing really well. JJ, you're on the Browns in the under as well. Is it more, your dad said it's more fading the Jets. Are you more bought into the Browns train? Are you same spot as him? Or are you more just fading the Jets in this one?
I'm not more so fading the Jets. I just think the Cleveland Brown defense shows up at home, and they play really well at home. Joe Flacco's playing really good, and I was going to mention his turnovers. I think that's the one thing that could cost him this cover is him turning the ball over. But like you said, there was one turnover that he had that was a heave towards the end of the half, and but in the Bears game, he threw a few picks. The turnovers there might be a little scary, but I just think with Cleveland rocking at home, their defense playing well at home, I think that they find a way to win, solidify that spot. I think this is going to be an under game. I love the under more so than I like the Browns, but I like a 23 game here, 20-6 game. I think Cleveland rules.
Yeah, I love the under here too, and I do think my score outcome is pretty similar. How about Amari Cooper, Coach Jay? I mean, the guy's a stud, one of the best route runners in the NFL. How underrated is Amari Cooper and what he's done for the Browns on this run that's really contributed to Joe Flacco balling out too?
Yeah, he's been great because you look at the receivers around him, you can't really say that there's a lot of other threats. And Njoku's playing well, but Amari's doing a great job. He gets open in when he's doubled, he gets open in cover 2, cover 3, man-to-man. They can't cover him. So you got to have somebody throwing the ball, and Flacco's doing that. The Lions been doing pretty good protecting them. So all around, the offense for Cleveland is a lot better than people thought once Deshaun Watson went down.
Yeah, especially considering the injuries they've had on the offensive line too. It's going to be fun. Hopefully we can pop those champagne bottles after clinching tomorrow night in downtown Cleveland. Should be a lot of fun. The next game on the slate is a Saturday night special, and it's a good one. Lions at Cowboys. When I saw we were all on the Lions in this game, JJ, I was scared shitless. I mean, the Cowboys, excuse me. I was scared shitless. The Lions are a great team, 11-4, 6-2 on the road. But as we know, the Cowboys are sliding now 10-5. But the one difference in this game that led me to take the Cowboys overall, JJ, is number one, they need a big win. And number two, they're just a different team at home, JJ. The Cowboys are 7-0, and night and day it's difference when they're on the home versus the road.
I agree. I think the Dallas Cowboys is a different breed of an animal, and that's why I wanted them to get the 1 seed if they wanted any chance to get to the Super Bowl, because I don't really trust them on the road in the playoffs. But with that being said, the Lions defense is kind of shaky. We don't know what we're going to get out of them, right? But I just think that they're too explosive on offense. The Dallas Cowboys are anyway, for them to kind of stop them. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Again, I think they're going to get a blowout late. I think the Lions are going to put up some points in return. But ultimately, I think the Cowboys could put up almost 40 this game and get the cover.
Let's go back to that. Coach Gruden said, who do you trust more right now? Jared Goff or Dak Prescott? Tough question. Who do you trust more right now?
They're both great players, and they got their teams in positions to be in the playoffs, so you can't argue that both of them are very good quarterbacks. Dak's a little bit more athletic. He can get out of harm's way a little bit easier than Goff can, so I would err on the side of athleticism. I'd take Dak Prescott because of his athletic ability, but Jared's had a heck of a year. He's a good player.
Yeah, they're both good. JJ, what about you? Who would you trust more, Dak or Jared Goff?
I don't know. I think Dak. I mean, but like I don't really trust him either. Come playoff time, I mean, he hasn't really done anything much in the playoffs, but he leads his team year after year and wins in the season. I mean, or he gets wins during the season. It's just hard for him to get actually a playoff win. And we can't really say much about Jared Goff either right now. So I mean, I'll take Dak.
That Cowboys-Dolphins game last week was frustrating as hell. Were you guys on the Cowboys or were you on the Dolphins in that game? I know I was on the Cowboys at +1. They blew so many chances in that game. The Dolphins did too, but you guys watching that game last week?
Oh yeah. We watched it together. I think my pop said my pop said the Dolphins. He was sweating a little bit. He was very quiet on the couch for most of the game.
Yeah,
it was end when he came a little bit more. When it was a little bit more promising.
That was a nail biter. It was a pick 'em. I think the spread, like I said, was 1. So it was a very good game. And now the Dolphins have set themselves up for a big game this week, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Patriots Bills is the next game on the slate. And I'm the only one on the Patriots. And I know the Bills are red hot right now, but earlier this year when the Bills and the Patriots played, the Patriots actually beat them 29-25. It was in New England, but they did beat them. And as we've talked about it all year long, I mean, 12 points is it's an insane amount of points in a division game. I know it's the end of the year and the Patriots aren't playing good, and they're talking about Bill Belichick, and he doesn't know his future. But the Patriots are playing better as of late. They just beat the Denver Broncos on the road. I know the Broncos are now slumping a little bit. But am I crazy for taking the points with the Patriots in this game, Coach Jay?
No, not at all. New England's going to battle. They're going to play hard. They're going to play good defense, and it's up to the turnovers. They got to create some turnovers. We know Josh Allen turns the ball over from time to time, so the Patriots have to feast on that for them to have a chance. I just think over the course of 4 quarters, the Buffalo Bills, now that they can run the ball a little bit better, they didn't run it too well last week. 2 weeks ago, obviously, against Dallas, they did. But with the threat of the running game, that helps out Josh Allen. Got to get Diggs going back to his superstar level, and I think they'll do that against a team that plays a lot of man-to-man, and I think Buffalo will capitalize on that.
JJ, I see the spread has now moved to 13. So we got it at 12 earlier today when the picks were submitted. Now it's at 13. How do you feel about that 1 point movement to, again, I mean, 12 is a lot, 13 is a lot. So the spread seems kind of sketchy.
I mean, before I get into my play, I just want to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, Stephon Diggs, is he alive? I mean, he hasn't really been doing anything the last 5 or 6 games. It's been crazy to see that your best playmaker on the field in reality isn't really doing much, offensively for your team. Watching last week's game against the Chargers, I thought he was going to take full advantage. I thought he was going to score a touchdown. I thought he was going to have a big game, but apparently not. But this one, divisional game, Patriots do play the Bills pretty tough, which is scary. But the Bills trying to get some momentum going in the playoffs. I can see this being a blowout. And if they get it together offensively, get more guys involved. Gabe Davis had a pretty good game last week. If that can kind of align, I think there's too many weapons on that Bills offense that'll hurt the Patriots, even if they go man-to-man, wherever you want to go. I think their offense will roll.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. So they've won 4 of their last 5 games, and in those 4 wins, Diggs has had 27 yards, 24, 48, 29. Coach Jay, what do you make of the Bills finding more success in terms of winning overall when Stephon Diggs isn't putting up crazy numbers? What do you make of that?
I don't know. It's hard. I know the one game against Dallas, they only threw the ball about 10 times. So let's take that one out.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I don't have an explanation for it. I know that Joe Brady's a new offensive coordinator. Maybe Josh is going through his progressions and not looking more at one guy as opposed to reading defenses and reading plays out, which is a good thing for Josh. I think when he gets in trouble is when he forces it to Diggs, and Diggs is in his ear. Throw it to me. I'm wide open. Okay, I'll throw it to you. Oh, it's a pick. Now he's starting to read defenses and get other guys that are open. I think that's more the case, other than not Stephon Diggs not being open, or maybe he's doubled and other guys are getting open and Josh is giving it to him.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, the playoffs are going to be so fun because the Browns, if they win, they're essentially locked into that 5 seed. And if everything holds and the Bills go to Arrowhead and play the Chiefs in round 1, I think the Bills might be favorites the way they're playing right now on the road. JJ, if that scenario plays out where the Bills go on the road at Arrowhead week 1, or playoffs week 1, do you think the Bills are favorites, or do you think the Chiefs are still favorites? Because right now the Chiefs can't figure shit out. I mean, they look terrible.
If you would have asked me this like 5 weeks ago, I would have said the Bills had no chance. One, to make the playoffs, too. They would have no chance against the Chiefs. I thought the Chiefs were a better team. But now looking at it with the momentum they got going in Buffalo, I mean, it's a scary sight. I would hate that, like we said the last couple of weeks, I would hate to draw Buffalo right now. And I would think that the Buffalo Bills would end up getting that win and moving on in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think they would be favorites in this game with the way the 2 teams are playing right now.
Didn't you go on record saying the Bills were not going to make the playoffs?
I was on record for that. I believed in it so much, but they picked up so much momentum. I can't. I have to backtrack a little bit. But
it's okay, Jacob.
I was with JJ on that take too, though. So it's they're on fire. They're on fire.
What's the record now? If they lose the next 2, would they be considered out? If they somehow lose to the Patriots?
Yeah, they would be 9-8, and they do play the Dolphins. But the crazy part is, if the Bills win this week to go to 10-6, and the Ravens beat the Dolphins to send the Dolphins another loss and put them at 11-5, that last game in the regular season would be to win the division. So
sweet as that.
It could be crazy. And then, yeah, I mean, if the Bills have a home playoff game, it could get interesting. So it's going to be fun down the stretch for sure. Who has the best chance to beat the Ravens in the AFC? Jay, I'll give this one to you, Coach. Who has the best chance to beat the Ravens in the AFC if you had to give a team?
I think the AFC is a lot closer than people think. The Ravens are playing the best overall football right now, but I guarantee you, if you're playing one game in the playoffs, Miami surely can if Waddle comes back. I know the Chiefs can with Patrick Mahomes. They got to figure out the receiver position, but they're playing good enough defense to make it a problem for Baltimore's offense, so they'll keep it close. Yeah, I think those 2 teams have a great chance, and obviously Buffalo, the way they're playing with Josh Allen, they're always going to have a chance when Josh Allen is at the quarterback position. So those 3 teams that I think of off the top of my head for sure.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I feel like the AFC is one team leading the pack and the rest are just a bunch of teams. But then again, like playoff time's coming, so teams are going to start to wake up here. Next game on the slate is ugly. Falcons-Bears. The Bears are playing good football as of late, and everyone is on the Bears at -3. JJ, however, is on the under. So I want to hear your thought process on the under, JJ. Again, 2 ugly teams, not great. But like I said, the Bears are playing better football as of late. They've put up around 20 points in the last 3 games. Are you banking on that Bears defense in Chicago to hold Heineke and those Falcons?
I love the Bears defense, and I think they've been playing the best football defensively in the entire league, maybe probably top 3 as of the last 4 or 5 games. I mean, they've been playing great football. Atlanta, they're coming in. They don't really have an identity on offense. I think that they can control Atlanta defensively pretty well for this game. And we don't know what kind of offense that we're going to get out of Chicago, right? Chicago could throw the ball. We don't know. They could do a lot of check downs. They could do a lot of game management type plays. And that's what I'm kind of banking on in this one. Being in home, being in Chicago, I don't think they want to get this one too away from them. I think they're going to get the job done on the defensive side of the ball. They might struggle a little bit on offense because I think Atlanta still has that little bit of a window chance to kind of get in if there's a lot that can happen and go their way for that NFC South title. Doubt it, but again, it's going to be a battle, and I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. So that's why I'm on the under. I really like the under more, so I like the Bears.
Yeah, you might have talked me into the under there. I'm not going to call an audible, but it was a really good sell job there, JJ. So I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it. First compliment in 17 weeks. Thank you.
Coach Jay, what do you make of the Bears' success as of late? 4 of their last 6 games they've won. In those 2 losses, remember, they blew that lead to the Lions in Detroit, and then they blew a really big lead, 17-3 lead in Cleveland. So they're a red-hot football team right now, winning 4 of the last 6.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus is a very good defensive coach. I mean, we took over defensive play call, and I think they settled the defense down. They're very sound in what they do. They frustrate the hell out of quarterbacks now. They stop the run. That's the one thing that they've done in the last 5 or 6 weeks. They're top 5 in stopping the run. And then when you have to throw the ball against them, Matt Eberflus has a good blitz package. He plays good sound, cover 2 and quarters and all that stuff. And guys have eyes everywhere. They have an elite corner back there. So, they're just playing good, solid defense. And Justin Fields is making enough plays. And DJ Moore's getting involved and Cole Kmet. So I like what the Bears are doing and where they're going. You know, they have a big decision to make this offseason, obviously, with Justin Fields and Caleb Williams or whoever the heck the quarterback's going to be. But I think Matt Eberflus is the right guy for this job, and he's done a great job this year with that team.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right and spot on, and I can't wait to see where they go because they're going to have 2 potentially top 5 picks in this draft owning the Panthers. So they're set up to have a lot of success in the coming years. Montez Sweat, the guy who we traded for from Washington and now have extended, has been phenomenal since trading for him. So they have a bright future, I think, in Chicago.
Hey, Pops, do you think you could get a first-round pick from Justin Fields?
Yeah, I think you could, actually. I think there's about 5 or 6 teams at least that would be looking for a quarterback. I mean, look at just Atlanta, Washington. There's 2 off the top of my head. The New York Jets. We don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to be next year. I mean, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback right now. For them to wait, everybody says, hey, wait, we'll draft one. Well, there's not going to be 5 or 6 or 8 quarterbacks you can draft in the first round. You get a guy with his skill set and his experience now, I think for sure he could get a first rounder.
Interesting. Setting us up for a fantastic lead up to the draft and offseason in Chicago. Raiders-Colts is the next game on our Week 17 schedule. And I'm the only one on the Raiders, and I don't know if it's because I'm buying too much into what they did in Arrowhead on Christmas Day. But the Colts, they were banged up last week. Jonathan Taylor, I believe, played, but I know Michael Pittman didn't. But it was disappointing. And, JJ, this was a game last week, the Colts-Falcons, that you had called sketch. And sure enough, the Falcons beat the brakes off from 29-10. Almost 20 points there. But again, I think the Raiders, the teams are very similar, but at the end of the day, on the road, 3.5, I think the Raiders can not only cover, but I think they might even win the game outright.
Yeah, for the record, I had 2 games that were sketch. It was that game and then also my my Chargers firing and then going that with the Chargers against the Buffalo Bills last week. I should have went with both sides and went with my gut. But yeah, no, this Indianapolis Colts team, they need to win, right? I mean, their backs are against the wall. They got to win to get into the playoffs at the end of the day. They control their own destiny. So against a weak Raiders team that we've seen inconsistently throughout the season, they can come out and play one way or the other. But I think the Colts are going to be troublesome for them, for the Raiders to score. That's why I'm also on this under as well. So I think they're going to keep the ball in the Jonathan Taylor's hands. He got a bunch of carries last week, and they continue to feed him the rock, even though they were down a couple touchdowns. I just like the Colts to kind of game manage this one and find a way to win and cover the 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking AFC South. The Jags, Colts, and Texans are all 8-7, so they all need to win. Very tight race. Coach Jay, I'm kind of surprised you're not on the Raiders in this one. Walk me through the Colts at home, covering 3.5.
It's a tough game. I think the Raiders are playing a lot better football than people expected this time of year after firing Josh McDaniels. Coaching staff's done a great job. Aiden O'Connell, he struggled last week mightily against the Chiefs. Didn't have to perform because they had the 2 back-to-back defensive touchdowns. They had a nice lead. I think they played it safe. Didn't have him do a whole lot. Devontae didn't have to do a whole lot. But I think this week they're going to have to pick it up a little bit in the passing game, get Devontae going. I think they have a chance to win the game for sure, but I think the Colts have a lot to play for, as do the Raiders are still in it in playoff race. But I think the Colts defensively, offensive line will dominate the game, and I think they'll run the ball extremely well. Gardner Minshew will make some plays.
Gardner Minshew's been fantastic this year, stepping in for Anthony Richardson. He's been fun to watch. Again, if the Colts get in, win that division, what's their head coach name? Well, I'm forgetting. Shane something. Forget his last name. Shane Steichen. Yeah, I mean, if they win the division somehow, he's going to be right there with Kevin Stefanski for Coach of the Year honors. So it's the year of the backup quarterback, and teams are starting to do a lot with those backup quarterbacks. Next game on the slate, though, I believe is Rams-Giants. And I'm riding with Tyrod Taylor. I don't think they're going to win, but I think this game could be a field goal game. I know the Eagles are struggling, but I mean, Tyrod Taylor, once he was in last week, threw for a touchdown, maybe even two, made the game close. And at home, the Rams are a very good football team. They played the Ravens tough on the road recently. They just beat the Saints by 8, Commanders by 8. So after that Ravens game, they haven't really sold me. So JJ, what are your thoughts on the Giants covering at home? I'm surprised this is another game where I thought you would have been on the Giants here, just based on the way you've picked this year.
Yeah, this one was the hardest one for me to pick of the whole slate of games because I was literally leaning New York here. I like the way Tyrod Taylor plays. He came in, played the Philadelphia Eagles great. They almost had a chance to kind of make a little bit of a comeback towards the end, but didn't get the job done. A couple BS calls on the New York Giants, but at the end of the day, they didn't win it. It's tough, man. And going on the road, traveling across the country after a couple big games for the Rams. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath either way. The Giants have nothing to lose. And I hate when teams are playing for a big spot and playing against a team that have nothing to lose, right? They're playing with, trying to play with something for next year. And this one was tough. So I do like the Rams to cover. I like them to get in there and kind of control the game a little bit. I like the under here. And I don't know here. I just think the Giants are not that good to keep up with the Rams.
Well, I'll get to Austin's question in 1 second. Is this game as complex to you as JJ just made it seem, Coach, or are you just Rams are going to cover 4.5 easy on the road?
Yeah, the Rams win this game easy, and I think I'd like to change my over. I want it to over. I think there's going to be some points. I like Tyrod Taylor. He'll get the Giants offense going a little bit. I'd like to wait and see what the weather is in New York because that stadium is very hard to throw the ball in when the wind is gusting around, and that has a major impact on the over-under in a game and the way the Rams throw the ball. But the Rams are very balanced right now. They're running the ball very well with Kyron Williams and obviously Cooper and Puka. They're doing great, but Matthew Stafford is really emerging as one of the top quarterbacks again in the NFC, and I like where they're at. Defensively, they're playing a little bit better. They're not great on defense, but they're doing what they need to do, and offensively, they're starting to hit their stride because they're running the ball extremely well. That opens up everything else for the Rams.
Before we get to this question from Austin, JJ, how happy are you that Tommy DeVito is now riding the pine?
He's done. He's done.
I thought of you as soon as he got benched. It
is what it is. It is what it is. It was a good run. It was fun listening to the Tommy DeVito story a little bit more than the Taylor Swift story. So I do appreciate that.
All right, back to this question from Austin. What are Coach's thoughts on the 49ers going to Darnold late on Monday night? Seemed like a wild move this late in the season. Coach Jay, floor is yours.
Well, I think he got hurt, right? He got another stinger.
He did, but they were saying Purdy could have came back in the game. But
yeah, that game was out of reach. Let's get Purdy some rest, make sure he doesn't hurt himself more. They know how valuable he is and what he means to that 49er football team. They have to have him healthy for the playoffs and to take him out for part of that game against Baltimore. And it wasn't their night. It wasn't their night offensively. It wasn't their night defensively. Baltimore was a better team. They're a better coach team. Lamar was a better quarterback. I get it for that one game. But I think moving forward, San Francisco will be fine. Purdy will be back, and they're going to make a run and be in the Super Bowl and probably play Baltimore again. So get Purdy some rest, get him healthy, and get him rolling.
He's going to
going off that point, if the San Francisco 49ers were to play the Ravens again in the Super Bowl, the 49ers will still be favored. I think they'll still be favored by 3 points at least. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Do I look like I'm in Vegas?
No, but I just know. I just know.
The 49ers will be favored if they go.
They're scratching their head. People are going to be scratching their head. They played earlier in the season. They got their asses kicked. What's going on the Ravens? The
49ers will be favored.
The San Francisco 49ers are going to roll. They're going to roll.
Coach, every Brock Purdy interception, I was thinking of you. What are your thoughts? I want to get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the MVP flipping so dramatically from Brock Purdy being the heavy favorite going in, and after just one, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is all of a sudden terrible, but I thought it was weird that it just flipped drastically to now Lamar being, I think he's like minus 200 to win MVP.
You'd like to have your MVP dominate for 17 games, but nowadays in pro football, that's not going to happen. I mean, Josh Allen struggled early with his interceptions, so he's out of the race, but he's really should be in the race, for God's sakes. Right. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is one of the best, most valuable players in the league, but he struggled without the receivers that he needs, and so much. So it's very hard for these guys to perform at MVP level for 17 games in a row. Tyreek Hill can do it because he runs a 4.2, 5.40, and he gets open a lot. And Christian McCaffrey is very versatile in what he does. So, but for the quarterback position, very, very difficult. So if I was to vote on a quarterback for most valuable player at this time, it's got to be Lamar because he's put his team in position to win, hasn't made a lot of mistakes. This isn't fantasy football. This is about the most valuable player. And Lamar, with the way he runs, I think he's leading the league in rushing for quarterbacks, and the way he's making decisions, throwing the football, and he's putting his team in position to win, deserves it at this point after 15 games. But there's still 2 games left, Grant, and you never know what can happen.
100%. And throwing 4 interceptions, as fun as it was to text you, it's not Brock Purdy. He's been playing fantastic all year. So
2 of them were tipped, Grant. 2 of them were tipped.
He'll turn it around. Don't no doubt. He's got what better team to bounce back than the Commanders? We'll get to in a little bit. But let's keep rolling here. Cardinals, Eagles. Let's talk about another quarterback that's struggling, Coach Jay. Jaylen Herz seems to be struggling a little bit. I know they won. They barely beat the Giants. But as of late, people are talking about his recent struggles. Do you make anything of the Jaylen Herz struggles through the air, Coach?
I do. I think he's struggling. The struggle is real right now at this time, week 15 in the season. I think he's very indecisive right now. I don't know if he's, he's throwing a couple interceptions, which has spooked him a little bit, which is making him gun shy to rip it down the field like he did last year. But he's got to get back to have some kind of reckless abandon a little bit. He's got to let it fly. And I think against Arizona is a great team and a great test for him to make some big plays. He's got to get A.J. Brown going again, get Devontae on the outside, make some big, big plays to really loosen up the defense so they can get the running game going. And Jalen's not using his legs like he has in the past, which has hurt him a little bit. Gainwell and Swift are both little backs, so teams aren't really afraid of the running game. So they're able to play more shell coverage and force a lot of checkdowns. But getting Goddard back will help out a lot. They got to get A.J. Brown going again, and that'll help out the running game, what little of it they have with the 2 little backs that they have.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think there is something to make of the struggles. JJ, you take away the tush push from Jaylen Herz, and he looks like an average quarterback. I know everybody says he's got all those touchdowns, 11 of them this year from the 1-yard line. So do you make of the Jaylen Herz struggles that they are also real?
I love the Cam Newton and Jaylen Herz comparison videos of touchdowns gained and the record that Jaylen Herz broke, with all the tush pushes that he had. But yeah, I mean, this offense looks flat. I mean, again, I said it last week. He rolls out. He tends to roll out to the left or the right or wherever he ends up going. Looks at 1 or 2 progressions. They're not there. And then he tries to scramble with the ball and tries to make something happen with his legs. It's not going to work, right? It's not going to work, especially come playoff time against teams that have really good defenses in the NFC. It's not going to work against San Fran, that's for sure. They got to get something going in the air. And their defense isn't helping either. Let's not put all the blame on Jaylen Herz right now. From what the star power that they have in the secondary, they shouldn't be giving up as many receiving yards as they have been. I mean, Darius Slay, Bradbury, they're not doing their jobs, I feel like, defensively and earning their money the way that they should be. So, I mean, with those 2 things not coming in line, be careful, man. I think the Eagles could be looking at a first-round exit.
Did I see you tweet the other day that Jaylen Herz is horrible? Did that come off your Twitter account? I think it did. How many beers?
I didn't say horrible. I just said stinks. And I've said it a couple times. I don't know if I really believe in the guy. And I've been saying it the whole time because I feel like if you put a guy like Justin Fields in there, I've always said I like Justin Fields more. If you put him in that kind of a system, I think that he could do a little bit better. He's got more of a cannon. Wow. I think he will let it rip. But again, it's just the system that you're in. And I think that they figured it out. I think teams have figured out Jaylen Herz and how to contain him. It all started 4 or 5 weeks ago when the I believe it was, who was it? The 49ers that played him, kind of contained him a little bit. So, I mean, that helped a lot of teams, I think, figure out Jaylen Herz.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I actually texted one of my guys, Victor. He's really plugged in the Eagles community, does a lot of content for him. And he said that they're frauds. He himself, he does iHeartRadio for the Eagles, said that the Eagles are frauds. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it however you want. But Saints-Bucks will keep rolling. Next game on the slate. Perfect. Do the Bucks have a legit chance with Baker? I'm going to come to you, Coach Jay, because look, all Browns Twitter, every time I tweet about Baker Mayfield goes up in flames. But look, I'm here to give the guy credit. He is playing he's playing fantastic this year. Has he beat the best teams? No. Is he in the best division of football? No. But look, credit where credit is due. The guy's got 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, first quarterback to have a perfect passer rating at Lambeau ever, which is very impressive. So Coach Jay, I mean, could the Bucks give Baker Mayfield a Daniel Jones or a Geno Smith type contract in the offseason?
Yes, they could, and I think they probably should, because the lack of quarterbacks out there that are available are very few. There's not many of them that they're going to be like, okay, let's let go of Baker. Let's go get who? They're winning games. They're going to win a division, so they're going to have a late first-round pick. They could take a flyer on some quarterback from East Mexico State, whatever it is, but they have a guy in-house. He's a great competitor. He's brought this team up from the ashes and made them a competitive football team and a possible division winner and get a possible home game in the playoffs. He's got great weapons. Rachaad White is unbelievable. Mike Evans is top receiver in the league. He's doing great. Obviously, Godwin, they have a good team. Their offensive line is doing pretty good. Defensively, they struggled, but Baker Mayfield is keeping the games close. And you can say what you want about the teams that they've beaten, but you got to beat them anyway. And Baker's played good. So I would err on the side of giving him a contract. You're always going to want better, obviously, but you don't want worse.
100%. And to your point, Mike Evans is due to be a free agent at the end of the season. So if they're going to bring Baker back, I think they got to try to make it a priority to also bring Mike Evans back.
Yeah, it would help.
Because, again, Baker Mayfield's doing very well on his own, but I think a huge part of his success, JJ, has been Mike Evans. But going back to this game, Bucks Saints, Peter, if you could throw the picks out there one more time. We are all on the Bucks, but the Saints, again, on the road, only lost by 8 to the Rams last week. How are you feeling about the Bucks overall, JJ? And then in this game, do you think it really is going to be a 3-point game, or do you think it's going to be more than that?
I don't think the Bucks are getting enough credit. They're playing really, really well. And my dad said it the last couple of weeks. Baker's playing with a lot of confidence, right? I mean, he's playing with a lot of confidence. Their defense is playing well. Their offense is clicking. They're finding ways to win the game. And I think the Saints have been kicked in the balls one too many times, not just last week, a couple times before that. It's just hard for them to find victories, right? And I just think the Bucks are just playing so well. It's going to be hard for the New Orleans Saints to come into Bucks territory with the playoffs on the line to get this win. They might be throwing the towel a little bit early. I like the Bucks here, just because defensively Saints aren't playing well. Offensively, the Bucks are playing with a great amount of confidence, and I can just see them kind of running away with this. I was really, really surprised that the job that they did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's for sure.
JJ, Just Paul seems to be a big fan. He said TTP for president. Seems like you got a big fan in here. But no, I'm with you. I don't think they get enough credit for what they're doing. And again, it's impressive. Like you said, Coach Jay, it's fun. I like to knock teams that haven't beat good teams. But at the end of the day, you play who is on the schedule in front of you, and it's the National Football League. So any win is significant in the NFL. Let's keep rolling, though. 49ers Commanders. Guys, what are we doing? Like, everyone is on the Commanders in this game, playing the 49ers. JJ, I'm coming right back to you. I saw this graphic once they submitted it, and I was scared shitless. The fact that, I mean, Brock Purdy's going to want to come out and throw for 500 yards and 8 touchdowns after the game that happened last week. And again, I just mentioned it. There's no better team to carve up than the Commanders secondary through the air. So, I mean, the 49ers, that funny stat you had a couple weeks ago about them not winning by double digits, they've done that like every week. So, I mean, I think the Niners could win by like 15-20, and so I'm pretty scared about this pick.
It's just, to me, this one is just like, okay, the 49ers are going to get it together here after losing last week. I think a lot of people are going to be on the 49ers, especially playing a weak team like Washington, but they got to go on the road still. They got to travel all the way across the country. I think they're going to put up points offensively, but I think that the Commanders, they're going to find a way to get it done. I'm not sure who's starting for the Commanders this week. If it's Howell or
Jacoby.
If Jacoby plays, man, he gets them in the ball games. I mean, he almost came back to beat the Jets last week. So I do like the change at quarterback here, even though I did like Sam Howell throughout the season. I thought he was one of the best Commander quarterbacks they've had in recent time. But this one right here, I just feel like there's like a backdoor cover coming. A lot of points are going to be scored. And I just think that the 49ers might sleep a little bit defensively because they think they have an easy win here this week. But I like the Commanders to find a way to cover this spread. I don't think they're going to win, but again, 13 is a lot of points.
Yeah, it is. And I think they have a better chance to cover that 13 with Brissett than they do Sam Howell, just with the way Sam Howell's been playing as of late. Coach, we were talking earlier this year about Sam Howell being the future. Now Ron Rivera sitting him down on the bench and telling him you're not playing for Jacoby Brissett. So has your mindset changed on him being the future Sam Howell, or do you think they just want to reset for the final 2 games?
I don't know if you could call him the future or not the future right now. He played 15 games and he had really flashes of being a very good quarterback with a lot of promise. And then he's taken kind of a step back the last couple of weeks. He's scrambled too much. He's throwing the ball into coverage, been inaccurate, turned the ball over. Jacoby's played extremely well when he's come in the last 2 weeks. So they had no choice but to go to Jacoby. And Jacoby gives them the best chance to win right now. That's all they care about is right now. They don't care about next year, 2028. Who gives a damn? We're trying to beat the 49ers. That's what we're selling the football team. And I think right now, if Dan Snyder was still the owner of the Washington team right now, I'd take the 49ers to win by 60. That's what I would have done. But now that Kyle take the foot off the gas a little bit, I'm not sure if Purdy's playing. I'm not sure if Trent Williams is playing. That's kind of why I went with the Commanders to cover.
What are your thoughts on the Ron Rivera talk? Do you think he's going to be with the team next year, or is it just too early to go that route and tell?
I have no idea. I would be very surprised if he was. He's had a lot of years to turn this program around, and hasn't really happened for him. They won the division once. I think they were 7-9. But yeah, it's been a struggle. And I just kind of look at the big picture of the football team, and I feel like they have not gotten better. They've gotten worse over the years, and that's a true sign that the coach probably needs to go. But if they keep him, I'm all for it. I like Ron. He's a nice guy, but I just think the way owners are, they make quick decisions on the coaching position, and it would not surprise me at all if they let him go. It would surprise me if they kept him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you in that boat. 4-11, 1-5. It's been a rough year. Traded away their entire defensive line. So I'm with you. I'd be surprised if he's there next year as well. Panthers, Jaguars. This game isn't very sexy, but at the end of the day, Coach Jay, right back at you, man. Look, we talked about it off air. Trevor Lawrence is playing like a D5 quarterback the past month. I know he's been banged up, but he just doesn't look very good. And here you are. You were sitting at 8-3 for Jacksonville. Now you're at 8-7. You're shitting your pants. You're pissing your pants because, again, they might not win the division now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I've mentioned it a couple of times with the Panthers 2-13, 0-8 on the road. You're taking them to cover 6.5. Whether it's Trevor Lawrence or CJ Beathard, are you taking them to cover no matter who plays quarterback?
I think they might win. The Jaguars are struggling bad right now. They lost Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. Those are 2 big losses for them at receiver. You watch Kansas City and they struggle without the receiver. They still have Calvin Ridley. I get it, but nobody else really scares anybody to death. Carolina's got a pretty good defense. Ingram's a good tight end, but he's not really it's Ingram. ETM is not being utilized the right way. They're not getting the ball. They're having trouble running the ball. Their offensive line is not creating a lot of holes for them. But defensively, I think the Jaguars are in a bad place right now. So I really, the way Trevor's throwing the football is scary. He's not being accurate. He's not protecting the football. They're not running the ball effectively. Calvin Ridley is really their only issue, their only weapon downfield. And then defensively, they're not playing very well. So I don't know how you can take Jacksonville in this spot. I want to think that they're going to turn it around all of a sudden, but it's been 4 weeks now. They have done nothing to say, okay. We're the Jaguars. We're going to win this division. We're going to make a run in the playoffs. I just haven't seen anything to show me that that's going to happen. Hopefully it does, but I don't think it will. JJ,
Pops is calling us crazy for taking the Jaguars in this game. So I need a sell job on why the Jaguars can cover 6.5, because I am with you, Coach. They haven't been good for a month, like we both mentioned, and I'm scared. I honestly, I'm scared. Betting this minus 6.5 is going to be very scary, JJ, on the side of the Jaguars.
We're still at the end of the day talking about the 2-13 Carolina Panthers. They're 2-13.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing anything offensively. No offense. I just don't see it. This is the game. If Jacksonville wants any business being in the postseason, to take this game and build some momentum going into the final game of the year. So I think this one right here, this has got Jacksonville written all over it. Hopefully they get something together on offense. I think they can just do enough on offense to kind of get them over the hump, score a little bit of points, and keep Carolina under 10, 13 points, which they've been kind of under that total all season long. And if they can do that, get to that point, I think Jacksonville has no problem scoring 20 against this Carolina defense. I just don't think that the Carolina Panthers can cover and make this one close. That's just my thought.
I tell you what, we're gonna know just how bad it is in Jacksonville. Like if they find a way to lose this game, if they're 8-8 and they just lost to the Panthers, then I mean, like, look out, it's gonna get ugly in Jacksonville. But if they rally the troops, find a way to cover or just win, then people might keep their heads and their sanity might stay just a week longer in Jacksonville. So it's going to be either a really good outcome just because they haven't won in forever or really bad. And there's no in between.
They have Carolina and Tennessee the last 2 games. So if they just make a couple repairs on this ship, they'll be okay going to the playoffs. But they do have to show a lot more. I don't know. They got to show something because right now they're doing nothing that makes you excited about being a Jaguar fan or being on a team. They're not running the ball. They can't throw the ball, and their defense stinks right now. So something's got to give. They got to turn around.
The better team of advancing in the first round of the AFC playoff picture in the AFC South, you think, if they get in, whoever wins that division?
I'd probably say probably Jacksonville. I don't know. Without the receivers, I'd probably say Indy or Houston, really.
Got to go Houston with C.J. Stroud, no? I mean, if he's healthy, C.J. Stroud.
They lost dang Tank. You know, shoot.
It sucks, yeah.
That sucks. But yeah, with C.J. back, I hope, we'll talk about that game in a minute, but I like Houston too.
Yeah, Nico Collins is banged up, so is Noah Brown, and if they're going to get in, they would have to have both those guys healthy to make noise, in my opinion. So the next game on the slate is absolutely fantastic. Dolphins-Ravens. This game could be for the 1 seed in the AFC American Football Conference. JJ, you're the only one on the Dolphins plus 3.5. I tell you what, I have an extremely hard time fading the Baltimore Ravens right now. They went on the road. They beat the brakes off the Niners. They were disrespected. I think 3.5. Now, I know the Dolphins are 11-4, but I would have looked to give the Ravens 4, 4.5. 5 might be a stretch, but I mean, the Baltimore Ravens look like the best team in football right now, undeniably, JJ.
The Miami Dolphins are going to win this game outright. They're going to win this game outright. They're going to beat Buffalo next week, and they're going to secure the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff picture. They are winning this ball game on Sunday. I love the Dolphins. I love the way they look. I think offensively they're going to be explosive. I think coming off of a big win against San Francisco is going to deflate the Ravens a little bit. Travel lag, coming back, playing at home. It's going to be tough for them. Baltimore, the Miami Dolphins are playing with a lot of momentum right now, being the Dallas Cowboys at home. I know it wasn't pretty, but they got the job done ultimately. I think that gives them enough confidence to compete with one of the best teams, if not the best team in the AFC, and they find a way to get it done on the road. I think this is going to be a huge turning point in the season for the Dolphins. I like them to win outright.
Coach, I know you're on the Ravens, so you're obviously not feeling that, but I don't know. I think the Ravens might win this game by. I just feel like they're going to come out hungry. They're going to clinch the 1 seed, and that's going to be that. I really don't see the Dolphins winning this game.
No, it's going to be a good game. Where's Waddle? Is Waddle playing or not? I don't know. So Jaylen Waddle is a big piece of the Miami Dolphin offense. You can't just have Tyreek Hill running. They'll double him all day long and make the other guys beat them. Their tight end and their backs, Achane and Mozart. But I just like the way Baltimore's playing defense. I like the way they're playing offense. Complementary football at its finest. I am scared, though. It feels like whenever the ESPN, all these people talk about a team like they're the best team, they always lay an egg the next week. I mean, go back the whole season. It's crazy. And Baltimore is the talk of the town right now. So Baltimore is probably reading their own press clippings. Last week, it was the 49ers. So Baltimore got pissed off and played their best game because they had a chip on their shoulder. Now Baltimore thinks they're, top of the AFC and the best team in the league. So I hope they don't let their guard down. That's the only thing that scares me. But right now, I think Baltimore's got a damn good football team. They're well coached. And Lamar's playing an MVP level. So I took Baltimore.
It's a great point. I hope they don't let it down either because, again, I just think they're very Lamar. I want to see Lamar win. As a Browns fan, it's going to sound weird, and obviously, if the Browns play him, I want them to lose. But if the Browns are out of it, I will root for Lamar because he's just so fun to watch. Fantastic football player. And again, the Dolphins are a good team. I'm excited to see how they do in the playoffs, especially JJ on the road. You having to win it outright.
This defense will frustrate Lamar, though. They better run the ball good because Vic Fangio plays some pretty good coverages, and he confuses quarterbacks. He confuses some of the best quarterbacks in the league, and Miami's defense is playing better. So they better be able to run the ball. And,
you touched on it. You touched on it last week. What's the running back? Is it Keaton Mitchell that went down? That sucked. Like he is.
Yeah, he was averaged like 9 yards a touch. That's hard to replace that with Justice Hill and Gus Johnson.
For sure. No, he was, I think, like I said, I think you mentioned it last week. He was so fun to watch. So, again, you mentioned it, though. Lamar is leading the league in quarterbacks as far as rushing goes. So, he's going to have to improvise, use his legs. Fantastic game. Next game, Titans-Texans. CJ Stroud did return to practice today. So, it looks like he's going to give it a go next week. They need him back because they're slipping and sliding. Case Keenum does not look good. I think they should have started Davis Mills last week against the Browns, honestly. They put him in like half the game. It was weird, even when the game was close. But CJ Stroud's going to play. JJ, -4.5. I think that if CJ Stroud does play, I think he returns to form pretty quickly, and I think that the Texans could win this game by 10+.
I don't know about 10+. I think these games are always pretty close with the Texans. But CJ Stroud will find a way to get it done. It's tough, right, at the end of the day. But CJ Stroud, I mean, God, dude, it's just great to have him back finally because you could see the offensive struggles. I mean, he struggled before he was injured against the Jets. They gave him some problems. But I think with the time off and him to kind of have some breathing room, I think that he'll come back to form pretty well. And knowing that their backs are against the wall, them controlling their own destiny as well, just like the Colts and just like the Jaguars, I think they're going to find a way offensively to get it done. So I think the Texans get this covered.
Is it Tannehill or is it Will Levis this week? I don't even know.
I believe it's Tannehill. I heard it's Tannehill.
Coach, what about you? You think Tannehill could come in and win this game outright against CJ Stroud?
Yeah, they played not too long ago. I think Houston kicked the game winner. Case Keenum was a starter. Your boy Case Keenum, Grant, and beat the Tennessee Titans on the road. So I'm taking Houston with CJ Stroud coming back. Play a little inspired football. A lot to play for. Very tough place to play is in Houston, and I think that home crowd will elevate the Texans to a easy cover.
I love it. I was on the easy train too. Like I said, JJ, I said double digits. So I'm feeling an easy win for the Houston Texans in this game too. Big one, as always, Steelers-Seahawks. This game's fantastic, and we all are all three of us are on the Seahawks in this one, but the rejuvenated Steelers, Kenny Pickett sounds like he's healthy enough to play, but Mike Tomlinson, not so fast. He's going to ride the hot hand with Mason Rudolph. Coach Jay, how does it make you feel that they're going to stick with Mason Rudolph when Kenny Pickett is healthy enough to get back out there on the field?
Well, Mason played pretty good last week, threw a slant ball to Pickens for 80 yards on the third play of the game, which I cannot believe how bad that coverage was for Cincinnati to allow a slant to run for 80 yards. But where was the safety, for God's sake? Where's the other safety? Anyway, so yeah, you got to play the hot hand and give him another opportunity. Kenny had some opportunities, and you want to make sure Kenny is absolutely 110% before he comes back, especially if you got a hot hand working right now. So let Mason play early on, see how he does. But I think Seattle's got the better overall football team. A lot to play for in Seattle, a lot to play for in Pittsburgh. It'll be a good game. But I think Seattle, I think where the mismatch is, Pittsburgh's corners are struggling. And obviously Seattle's wide receivers are their strength with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Njigba.
Yeah, it's a tall task to ask Mason Rudolph to go to Seattle and win a ball game in a essential time where they both need a win. But JJ, I'm with your dad. I mean, the Seahawks are finding ways to win football games, whether it's Drew Lock against the Eagles or now Geno Smith's back. I think they won a nail biter last week. Yeah, 20-17. It was the Titans. It was close. But again, I think the Seahawks are the better football team, like he said, and I think this game could also be another easy cover for the Seahawks.
Oh, I think it's going to be an easy cover. I think it's going to be a blowout. Mason Rudolph had a lucky game. I don't like the offense by the Steelers. I just think that Kenneth Walker being there, running the football, it's going to cause a lot of problems there on the defensive line for the Steelers. I do like the Jackson Smith and Njigba. I know he got banged up a little early too, but he came back and he ended up scoring a touchdown. I just really like what Seattle's doing. They're playing with a lot of momentum. Their backs are against the wall. I think the Steelers are going to be left in the dust here. So I just like Pittsburgh. I like the Seattle Seahawks at home with the 12th man behind them.
Yeah, 12th man, no renegade, Coach Jay, in Seattle.
Yeah, but it's fast track, and TJ Watt will have something to say about that blowout now. I mean,
blowout.
Geno Smith hasn't had a whole lot of time. He didn't look too good his first game back last week. He struggled mightily. Right? So I would not say blowout. I don't think Seattle's going to come out and put up 40 points against the Steeler defense. I'm thinking more of a 20-13 type game, maybe,
Well, this
27-13.
I'd bet you any amount of money it ain't a blowout. Okay.
We might have a wager amongst wagers here with this Seahawks Steelers game. That's gonna be a fun one to watch now with the back and forth that we've had. A couple games left on the slate. The Denver Broncos and the Chargers. And would you look at this? The Denver Broncos told Russell Wilson, your season's over and your time in Denver could be over. It sounds like they're trying to get out of that contract. They said let Russ cook, and all he cooked was a bunch of burnt eggs. It was not fun. He's 11-18 in his time in Denver. Coach Jay, what are your thoughts on them benching Russell Wilson, now going to Jared Stidham? What are your thoughts?
I'm changing my pick to Denver. Okay, can I do that?
I mean, if
I did not know they were going to bench Russell Wilson. Now that I know they benched him, I'm taking Stidham and the Denver Broncos.
Has Russell Wilson really been that bad?
It's not about him being bad. He's a good quarterback. He's had a hell of a career. You know what I mean? But Sean Payton's offense is different. All right. You got to be able to manage the protections and understand your concepts and progressions and all that stuff. And there's a lot going on. And Russell just seems to always want to run and scramble and abort mission when plays might be there. I'm not saying they are. Maybe their protection isn't very good, but it's not a natural fit. And I think Jared Stidham is more of a prototypical drop back type quarterback. He's got a good arm, good accuracy, really good anticipation. And I just like the way he plays. And I like to see him get a chance. I'm with Sean Payton on this one. I think give Jared Stidham a chance. So Russell Wilson's a good player. He's got a little bit of football left in him somewhere else maybe. But I think moving forward, I think the Broncos got to look elsewhere.
What's Jared Stidham done in his career? I have no
nothing. He hadn't done anything. I just liked him coming out at Auburn. I just don't know. There's something about this style of offense and Russ. They just don't mesh. And Russ can go somewhere else and play very well, but I don't think with Sean Payton it's a natural fit. Sean wants a guy that is smart. He can call 3 or 4 plays in the huddle. They can audible, do a lot of different things. Drew Brees. When you have Drew Brees for that many years, you get a little spoiled as a head coach. Now you have to coach these quarterbacks, and some quarterbacks can't handle all the information. Drew Brees can. Maybe Stidham can. It'll put great pressure on the defense if he can. If not, the Broncos will struggle. But I'm still taking Denver.
So should the Broncos look to the draft or to free agency for a new quarterback? Because, again, it sounds like there's going to be somebody else.
They're not going to be money. They're still tied into Russell for a lot of money. They're going to have to cut him, I guess. That's the bottom line, right? So either they got to see what they have in Stidham these last 2 games. I think that's why they made the move to they're going to move on from Russ anyway. So let's go ahead and see what Stidham can do. If he could do well these last 2 games, they'll still be in a market for a quarterback, but it'll help ease the pain and the urgency to grab a quarterback as soon as we can. But I don't know if they have any picks or not in the first round or where they're going to pick. It's going to be a difficult road for Denver moving forward, but Stidham at least can try out these next 2 weeks, see how he does.
Those poor Broncos fans, man, they were so excited. Broncos country, let's ride, and the ride was a shit show. JJ, what do you make of them?
5 in a row. They were doing good at one time. Russ was playing pretty good. He had a high completion percentage and was dumping the ball off, and they wasn't very sexy, but they were very efficient. Unfortunately, they've lost a couple and season's over.
Yeah,
I think the message was delivered to Broncos fans and Russ and everybody, just like my pops kind of was saying. So this was tough. Stidham I think he got a win with the Patriots 1 game when he was playing for New England back in the day, a couple years ago or whatever it was. But with that being said, I just like the Chargers here. The Chargers need to pick up a win drastically. It could be a little bit of a thing for them. This one's just a coin flip. Take a coin, flip it, heads or tails, pick the side. It could really go either way. But I just think it deflated the Broncos quite a bit, losing that game in New England, which that was a game that they needed to win in order to get in the playoffs. I just think they're too deflated on both sides of the ball and to keep up with the Chargers, who are playing with nothing to lose, divisional game. I think that they're going to figure out a way with Easton Stick to get the job done.
You say coin flip. I say don't.
He says coin flip.
He says coin flip. I say don't touch it. And
you do coin flip for every game on the slate, JJ.
No.
Yeah, you say coin flip. I say don't touch with a 10-foot pole because it's Jared Stidham versus Easton Stick. So I'm not touching this game.
Stidham can play, man. I'm telling you, Stidham, he can play. You watch.
We'll see.
I know this won't excite anybody, but he's like Aiden O'Connell. I mean, he's a big, tall guy with good accuracy. You know what I mean? He's a young player. He's still developing, but at least you have him where you're trying to develop and see if he can turn into something. O'Connell's had a couple good games. Last week he didn't have a good game. Didn't have to, but who knows? Who knows what you have?
Yeah, you don't know what you have.
Play. See what happens.
For sure, for sure. 2 games left. The next game on the slate, Chiefs Bengals. I'm taking a -7 or -20, whichever one you want. Look, the Chiefs need to win bad. All right, they need to win really bad. And the Bengals on the road in Pittsburgh, division game, just got the brakes blown off them 34-11 by Mason Rudolph. Look, if the Chiefs were having a really good year and everything was candies and cotton candy in Houston, in Kansas City, then I would say -7 might be close. But I seriously think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 14, maybe 20 points. I mean, they need to figure it out. The Bengals secondary looks like it's burnt toast. Their defensive line's banged up. I mean, it's just Jake Brown is coming back down to earth. I seriously think if there's one game on the slate this week where a team's going to win by 20 plus, it's going to be the Chiefs. I just do. So floor is yours. Anybody wants to jump in, but I seriously think the Bengals are getting the Chiefs at the worst time possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Bengals are struggling right now defensively. And if there's a team that you want your offense to kind of figure it out against right now, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, because they're not rushing the passer very well. They're definitely not covering anybody. To give up almost 400 yards to Pittsburgh Steelers is unheard of. So the Chiefs, if they don't perform well against the Bengals, I'm worried about them moving forward. So this is a big game. I agree with you, Grant. I think the Chiefs figure it out, get some points on the board, and I think they really will frustrate Jake Browning, because defensively they're playing pretty good.
100%. Chris Jones is a tank. They might have something on their bulletin board in the Chiefs locker room that says, like, score 30 points. Because like I said, if they don't figure it out against the Bengals, who are really struggling, getting lit up by Mason Rudolph, you're 100% right. There's going to be, I mean, there already are legitimate questions, but there's going to be concern just through the roof. So JJ, I want to see final score. If you had to give me a final score in this game, what would you put it at? I would seriously put it at like 38 to 13 or something like that. Seriously, I think it's going to be that bad.
I couldn't agree with you more. I would say 35-17, right around there. I think the Bengals are going to find a way to score, maybe once or twice, maybe once towards the end of the game. But this is a game for the Chiefs to get it back on track, if there was one, right? I mean, George Pickens had a slant over the middle for 80 yards. If they want to get the receivers in a groove, maybe they could take advantage of a bad Bengals secondary. And again, the Bengals, they're out. They're not really playing for much of anything. Kansas State trying to get some mojo going. So Patrick Mahomes playing at home here, especially after losing to the Raiders outright. That was a huge loss to that team playing at home. And they got to figure out a way to get some momentum going into the playoffs, because right now they don't look like one of those teams in the top 5 right now in any power ranking. So right now they got to get some momentum going, and they should do it against a bad Bengals team. So I do like the Chiefs here.
Yep, 100%. It's a beautiful spot for a get-right game for those Kansas City Chiefs, and it's at Arrowhead, so it makes it worse. The last game to wrap things up is a huge game in the NFC playoff picture. Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love are going to Minnesota to face God knows who at quarterback. Is it going to be Josh Dobbs? Is it going to be Nick Mullins? We don't know. They have not named the quarterback yet. So, JJ, I got to ask, I know earlier we said it, right? You're a closet Vikings fan. But no matter who's at quarterback in this game, are you still going to believe and still going to ride with the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't think the Minnesota Vikings should be favored in this game. And I'm going back to my gut when I think that there's a trap line. I think this is a trap line. I think this is the trappiest line of the week. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Packers. They're going to be on Jordan Love. He's got all his weapons. There's no reason why this team should lose. Jair Alexander getting suspended this week, though, can kind of hurt the Packers as well. But I don't think that will move the line too much. But whoever plays quarterback of the Vikings should have a day. And for this over-under to be as high as it is, I had this feeling that this game is going to go over as well, especially being a primetime game. And we know all the primetime games like to go under. So I do like Minnesota to figure out a way to get the job done, kind of fight for some life, basically at the end of the day, which won't be much life. But I think Justin Jefferson's going to cause a lot of problems offensively for the Packers defense, and they've been struggling mightily defensively for the Packers. So I do like the Vikings to figure out a way offensively to get it done and win this game outright.
The big thing for me in this game, Coach Jay, as we wrap up here, and I know they have Justin Jefferson, and I know they have Alexander Madison, and I know that they have that young rookie, really good receiver, Jordan Addison. But losing TJ Hawkinson just sucks, especially if you're Josh Dobbs or Nick Mullins. So where do they go in this game? I know you're on the Packers, but I really think losing Hawkins is going to be so tough for this team going forward. And I think the last 2 games, they probably won't make the playoffs now. You're gonna really see how much they miss Hawkinson, especially with this quarterback situation.
Well, I agree. Last week they ran the ball 10 times for 16 yards, and that's not going to cut it against Green Bay. You got to run the ball against Green Bay, and they got to figure out a running game to get it done to help protect either Mullins or Dobbs, whoever the hell's playing quarterback. You can't expect these guys to throw 55 times a game. He did throw for 411 yards, great, but he also threw 4 picks and got sacked 4 times, and that's no way you can win football games moving forward. Hockenson is a big blow because he is a backup quarterback's best friend. He's very friendly to the quarterback. Intermediate routes are easier to throw than trying to drive it and cover 2 hole shots to Justin Jefferson or deep daggers across the middle with pressure in your face. So that does hurt him a lot. So I am concerned. But I think right now the Packers, with the way they're running the ball with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and Jordan Love is getting a little bit more confident. The receivers aren't great, but Dubes is playing pretty good. And defensively is where they're struggling. But I think defensively they can do good enough because Minnesota does not run the ball worth a damn. Packers secondary can play better, even though they gave up a perfect passer rating to Baker Mayfield last week. But I still think they'll get it done against Minnesota.
Yeah, and Bryce Young put up 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers against them last week against the Packers, and that was a 33-30 game. So you got a point, JJ. I'm not 100% sold on the Packers here, but I just think that Hockenson and the Packers are going to overcome. But boys, that has been a Week 17 show. We appreciate you as always. Jay, you're probably going to win this thing this year, but JJ, I'm coming to catch you. I'm going for the silver medal. Going for the silver medal.
He said probably.
You will win. You will win this year. But JJ, I'm coming for second place. So, boys, best of luck this weekend. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right. See you. Jesus.